So, with that being said, it's time to move on to our weekly segment, which is called What's Coming Out on Physical Media. Now, for those who don't know, which is probably everybody watching this video, I love my physical media. I love my Blu rays, I love my 4Ks, I love them. Yes, I could buy digital. Yes, it would save me tons of room if I bought digital. However, I love the cases. I love some of the presentations that some of these studios do with the box sets, some of the companies do. I really do enjoy a lot of the presentations because, companies like Arrow Video do a really good job with the presentation. And that's something that's important to me when I buy a movie, especially a movie that's a little older. I like to have a good presentation. So, with that being said, we're going to get into the movies that release on Tuesday, which is going to be tomorrow. And we're going to start off first, and there's not a lot to talk about today. There's 5 movies I'm going to talk about. The first one is our only 2022 release, and that is Brian and Charles. This will be coming out on Blu-ray. No 4K for Brian and Charles. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I did see the trailer. It looks good. It's about this guy named Brian. He builds his own robot. He names it Charles. It looks really funny. It was selected to the Sundance Film Festival. You could tell it's going to be a heartwarming movie. It looks like something that would be for me. So Brian and Charles, that comes out on Blu-ray tomorrow. So if you haven't seen it and you want to see it, or if you've seen it and you liked it, then you can buy it tomorrow. Next one we're going to move on to is actually a TV show. It's called 1883. It's the Yellowstone spinoff that came out last year, I believe. This is coming out on Blu-ray. Another show that I haven't seen. My parents actually watched the show and they enjoyed the show. Did not like the end of the season, but they really did enjoy the show as a whole. Obviously, Yellowstone, very popular show. A lot of people do like Yellowstone. I think Yellowstone's good. I do need to check out 1883. That's coming out on Blu-ray tomorrow. So they're releasing season 1 on Blu-ray. So if you're into Yellowstone and you're into 1883, you might want to check this out. Unfortunately, it's not coming out in 4K. I think this show would have been cool to own in 4K, but sadly, it's not going to be out in 4K. So 1883, that comes out tomorrow. Next, we're going to move on to a movie that came out last year. It's an anime movie. It's called Belle. Belle is a movie I have not seen. Spoiler alert, I have not seen any of these movies that we're talking about today. But Belle, I haven't seen. I just wasn't interested. I'm not really into anime. It's just not my style. But I've heard good things about Belle, and it's coming out in 4K. It's a collector edition from Shout Factory, and Shout Factory does a good job with their releases. So, honestly, if I liked anime, I would probably pick it up. I believe it's $50 though. I could be wrong, but I believe it's $50. It's a bit pricey for Belle, but it is coming out in 4K. So if you wanted to own Belle in 4K, here's your chance. You can get it, and Shout Factory is going to do a very good job with this movie. Next movie we're going to talk about. This is a cult classic film. It's called Cat People. It came out in 1982. Shout Factory again is doing this release. Haven't seen Cat People. It's a cult classic for a reason. People enjoy the movie. I think it's cool that companies like Shout Factory or Arrow Video, they release these cult classics on physical media. I think that's really cool that they do that. So Cat People comes out. It's a scary movie, so if you're into the scary stuff, then you might want to check out Cat People if you haven't seen the movie yet. This is one I'm definitely going to check out. I mean, it helps that Shout Factory is doing the release, so yeah, I'm definitely going to be checking out Cat People. And the final movie we're going to talk about today is Miami Connection. This is probably the biggest movie out of all of these, but Miami Connection comes out on 4K. Vinegar Syndrome is doing the release. Haven't seen it. It's a classic movie. I know it. I'm going to buy this movie, though, and I'm going to watch it as soon as possible. I don't know when I'm going to buy it, in all honesty. I'm either going to buy it this week or next week, but I'm definitely really excited to own this movie. Look, man, I buy movies I've never seen all the time, and I end up watching them, and I end up loving them, and I think I'm going to love Miami Connection, so that's coming out. Vinegar Syndrome is releasing it in 4K. Again, not a lot of stuff to talk about that's being released this week. So let's run through the list one more time. Brian and Charles is getting a Blu-ray release. 1883 Season 1 is getting a Blu-ray release. Belle 4K is getting a collector's edition from Shout Factory. Cat People is coming out in 4K. The cult classic movie, that's also coming from Shout Factory. And then Miami Connection from Vinegar Syndrome is getting a 4K release. So there we have it, guys. We'll be back next week to do more what's coming out on physical media. So make sure you stay tuned for next week.